Welcome everyone to part 2 of making awesome missions. Now, building off of the example that we used before, we're going to make a very basic mission. We're going to have some enemies that we can kill, and we will again compile it, and we will take it from there. We will also be going over waypoints and triggers. So, first of all, we need someone to kill, right? So how do we do that? Well, first of all, let's try not to spawn them right next to us here. Let's go a bit down the road. Here we go. Now, having units selected over here, double click anywhere on the map. Now, side, set that to up for. Faction, let's just set it to terrorist, because why the fuck not? You know, men, and then let's take AT guy. Alright, this is pretty much all we need to know right now. Let's go ahead and spawn this guy in. Okay, so we have one guy. Now, obviously, most of the time, you want to actually test how the spawning works when it comes to having them move around and waypoints and stuff. So how do we do that? I can't exactly walk up to him in the editor and, you know, because I'll get shot. So what do? Well, what I do is I want to delete this test character, and the guy we just spawned, just go ahead and copy paste that guy, double click on him, control set to player. This means that when we click preview over here, we now spawn as an up for guy, and we can watch this guy walk around. So if I click preview right now, what do you think is going to happen? Well, he's just going to stand there because we didn't tell him to do anything. So let's go ahead and give him a waypoint. F4 or click on waypoints, click on the guy so he's selected, double click in front of him. So, combat mode. Well, let's say that as soon as he spots us, he will open fire. I mean, that would make the most sense, right? So let's go ahead and set it to open fire, engage at will. When there's only one guy, formation does not matter. So let's not change anything about that. Speed, well, I want him to be limited. This means that he's going to be walking around in a casual manner until he spots us, and he will then react. But he will only do that if the behavior is set to aware. This just means that he's walking around casually, but he's aware of his surroundings. So as soon as he sees us, he's going to open fire and engage at will. This is all we need to know right now. That's the first waypoint. So when I spawn, or when I click preview, he's going to spawn in, start moving up to this waypoint, and then he's just going to stand there because we haven't told him to do anything else. But you know what? Let's have him walk around a bit more. So with the waypoint selected, go ahead, click again, hit enter, click again, enter. So he walks up here, and then up here. But what if I want him to walk that path all the time? What do I do then? Alright, let's go back to the original point of where he started and set the type to cycle and hit enter. So this means he's going to walk around, come back. The waypoint's going to cycle, which means he walks up here again and he keeps going around. There we go. Now notice how I don't have to set these parameters for each waypoint. So if you have a waypoint or a collection of waypoints that is like 1,000 different waypoints, oh god damn it. So if we have a collection of waypoints of like 1,000 different ones, we don't have to set the parameters because, like it says, no change. So all you got to do is set the very first one, unless you want to change something, unless you want to change the speed or anything like that. So if I click preview right now, which I'm not going to do because it takes a long time loading, all he's going to do is walk around. Now, but what if I want him to start walking on a trigger? The best example of this is a car. So let's go ahead and spawn a car. Here we go. Now notice that sometimes you'll have this blue line. This means that I'm in a group with this guy. Usually we don't want to do that. So the way we do that, or remove the group, is F2, left click on either me or him, and drag out and then release. There we go. Same thing can be done if we want to add to group, but I'm going to be covering that later on. So okay, now we have the guy spawned. Again, we haven't told him to do anything, so he's just going to stand around doing nothing. But let's have him drive around. So waypoint, set the initial waypoint. I want him to open fire. Again, no formation, it's just one guy. Let's have him, you know what, let's have him blaze through the fucking thing. So speed, full. Behavior, safe. Alright. And again, let's give him some area to work in. And again, the last one, let's do cycle. Okay, so he's just going to drive around. But what if I want him to wait down the road and for him then to, on a trigger, start to move up here and then start going around? This could be an ambush. Remember that. I want this guy to ambush this T intersection right here. But I want him to wait like behind a building. And when I then, as Blue 4, come around, like when I come down here as Blue 4, he's going to start driving up here and he's going to drive around. How do I do that? Well, we have to use triggers and synchronization. Now, it sounds difficult. It's not. Hit F3. Double click. Okay, so activation. Well, I want Blue 4 to be able to activate the trigger. And how do I do that? Well, okay, I want them to be present. Notice that you can change the criteria here. So when Blue 4 is present, I want to activate this module, and I only want it to happen once, because I only need for it to happen once. Okay, and I want a radius of about 20 times 20 meters, and then hit OK. Now I have my trigger. Now the trigger is going to trigger once Blue 4 comes into the circle, but nothing is happening right now. It's just a trigger that does nothing. So what do? We synchronize this trigger to the waypoint. So F5 for synchronizing, left click and hold. So again, just like with the group, I can drag this around and I drag it over to the waypoint. So there we go. So when this guy spawns, this waypoint will not be activated until the trigger is activated, which means he's just going to sit there until I casually walk in here. Then this triggers, and then he starts moving about until, well, we kill him or he kills us. This way you can create ambushes and stuff like that. That's all there is to it. And again, we could do the same thing with this guy up here. There we go. He's not going to start moving now until we go into that trigger area. We could have this guy stand behind a building. And there we go. We can have him stand right here. So as soon as we go in there, he's going to come around the corner and start shooting at us. That's the very basic of waypoints and adding enemies. There's one more thing I want to tell you guys though. Let's say that I want a group of people. Let's say I want that. All I got to do is copy paste this guy a few times. There we go. And hit F2 for the group selection. I want to drag these guys up to him because he's the leader, or whatever you want to call it. Now, all of these guys, because they're in the same group, are also going to get this waypoint now, and they will meet the same trigger conditions up here. That's all there is to it. I can even do this. I can put this these guys over here and play around with the groups a little bit. Drag everybody up to the off-roader. So there we go. Now these people are in a group and they will move together as a unit now because they are in the same group. That's all there is to it. So again, save it, go ahead and export it to a multiplayer mission, and we're good. That's all you gotta do. But one thing though, don't fuck up like I just did, because now this is a playable character. I mean, it's not supposed to be that. It's a test character for us to hit preview on. So, you know, remember to delete that. And then we do the same process again. There we go. That's all there is to it.